Greetings, one and all, to the most cursed, most cringiest corner of the internet. A YouTube channel content creator actively alienating everyone in both the analog and digital world. Well, welcome and good evening, wonderful dice of all alignments. I am Lunar D8. Umineko, when the seagulls cry. They aren't here. Where'd they go? The servant room and the kitchen are both empty. What in the world happened? Ooh, Mama. Where's Mama? My letter. The letter I got from Beato. Give it back. Give it back. Wow. Perplexing. Battler-kun, are you sure it was Aunt Rosa? Well, even I was half asleep, so I'm not sure. But I get the feeling that in the early morning Aunt Rosa came in and fished around in Maria's handbag. I figured there was probably a tube of toothpaste or something in there. Why would there be a tube of toothpaste in Maria's handbag? Looks like you were a little more than half asleep. Battler vaguely remembered Rosa entering the cousin room. Also, when Maria woke up before the rest of them, she started rampaging around saying that someone had opened the envelope she'd been keeping safe. Putting two and two together, they figured that Rosa had probably come and opened the envelope. A letter from the Golden Witch. I wonder what was inside. I don't know. But that envelope was for grandfather's personal use, and had Ushiromi's family crest on it. Whatever was inside must have had some connection to the family conference. She hadn't let anyone touch it, but yesterday Maria had shown that envelope at Battler and the rest of the whole lot, so they remembered it well. Ooh, Mama, give it back. Mama, give it back. Ooh, wow. Well, if you're right, it'd have to be pretty important. Why would this mighty witch give something that important to Maria? I don't get it. Every once in a while, the refreshing morning atmosphere was completely wiped out by the sound of thunder. It was only natural. Since the moment they'd woken up, they hadn't met anyone else. Now, from what I understand, Battler remembers the previous world, and will remember this world, and the world after that, and the one after that, and the one after that. Now, I do get the impression that in each world, all of the other characters are subconsciously remembering certain things that occurred, even things that they weren't there for, even things that occurred after their deaths. So, they're probably being influenced in that, even if they're not aware of it. But Battler himself should have a clear memory of everything that's occurred, whereas everyone else just sort of, like if you think of it like the subconscious is you, the player. And I'm saying in a situation like, say, if you're playing a video game. The subconscious is the player with the controller. And you die multiple times to certain traps that are hidden. You're avoiding the traps afterward, but the character in the game doesn't know those traps are there. But the player controlling the character does. Whereas in Battler's situation, the character actually does remember the things that occurred in all of the other deaths. Though I imagine that could be a bit traumatizing. Imagine if Mario remembered every time you didn't make it across that pit. Or every time you didn't land correctly when you were trying to stomp on a Goomba. Think of any video game you've ever played What if the character you're playing as actually had a full memory of all of their deaths? And this could work multiple ways. One, it'd be an issue of what if they're constantly aware of all their deaths, to where, like, say you're playing Sonic the Hedgehog, and every time Sonic dies, he remembers every single death. So after his first death, on his second life, he remembers the first death. On his third life, he remembers the first and the second death. But what if it's a little bit more not so kind? Because imagine if Sonic had that issue. He probably would never leave the Green Hill Zone. But what if Sonic didn't remember the deaths? And what if there was a subconscious? What if we're not necessarily even saying that's a player? What if the Sonic the Hedgehog world were real? And Sonic were really dying over and over. But every time he died, the universe reset back to right before he died. And he was able to subconsciously feel. And all he would equate it to would be intuition. And with enough attempts, probability, improved skill, let's say not only does intuition carry over from death to death, what if skill increases too? For example, what if you were someone who were trying to win an actual fight, but you only had a couple days to prepare for it, and you did your best to train for it, both physically and in terms of skill, but then you die. Let's say time reverts back to the 2 days before, but any physical improvements you made, you keep. And any skills you learned, you keep. But you don't remember the experience of doing them. But you maintain any additional strength or speed you gained, any new skills, any improvements of reflexes, any new muscle memory, you keep it, and you can build on it without even understanding your foundation. It'd be like you put in years and years of work, say, studying Kung Fu, and then all of a sudden you don't remember doing all that practice. But all of the physical strength you build, reflexes, endurance, even the muscle memory, you retain. So, like, what if every time Sonic dies, he still gains. He keeps his speed. He improves his speed. He improves his reflexes. He improves his skills. He gets stronger. Any areas that he unlocked are still open. Any items he collected, he gets to keep. So, say if there was an area that's like almost certain death to get to, all he has to do is get to it. He doesn't have to get back or ever do it again, and he has that item forever and that power forever. And now all of a sudden he has a double jump. Or he has the ability to climb walls. Or he just has a little bit of a damage reduction. Even if it's not necessarily something he's aware of. Or what if he just can hold his breath a little longer underwater? And to him, it's always been that way. And he's just gradually improving, getting powers. Maybe he gets a mystical dagger. Maybe some things that give him powers, like Chaos Emeralds. He can suddenly taste the power of becoming a Super Saiyan. So he's a Super Saiyan. He's got improved boots, armor. He's unlocked new areas that he doesn't have to go through trials to get to. He has all these extra resources. He even gains friends like Tails and Knuckles, and even friendship with Shadow and everyone. gets to rely on them. And as far as he knows, he's never died. And he's had so many close encounters. And over time through his journey, he seems to improve on his intuition and his skills at a faster rate than really he should be. Let's say he goes through all the games in the series. Any one of you out there, imagine you play through every Sonic video game ever made. And imagine it's not a video game for him, it's real. And every time he dies, he doesn't remember it. But then, after you finish the very last video game, and he has all these superpowers, all these friends, all these resources, he's completed everything. You make him as powerful as possible. And he's overcome everything without dying a single time. And that's the way he sees it, because that's the way it is. But he would have died millions of times. Like I said, each of you, just playing through Sonic 1. And let's assume that you never have to restart from a zone. Now, apparently, if you die in Green Hill Zone... Unsure about that. Okay. Let's say it starts off to where you die in Green Hill Zone. You know, it's not that big a deal, but as you get further, there's checkpoints throughout the stages. And of course, once you get to like Marble Zone, if you die in Marble Zone, the furthest you'll be sent back is the start of Marble Zone. You'll never have to redo old worlds or old games. And Sonic just sees this as the world. And almost like it's his playground. After all, he's super. Nothing can really stop him. And he seems to always find his Chaos Emeralds in every single game. And he can basically become a Super Saiyan. And even he has like a mystical dagger that lets him, say, kill enemies by spin jumping into them. He completes all the games. And like I said, for each of you out there, if you were playing through just Sonic 1, even if you could use, start from each zone, not even the beginning of each world, each zone if you died, how many times, or however you want to look at the game, heck, even if you use save states, but even if you use save states, anytime your character would have died, that would still be a memory your character would have. The question is this, you the player out there, if you were playing Sonic the Hedgehog 1, how many times would you die before you beat it? And then Sonic 2, Sonic 3, Sonic 3D Blast, Sonic Shuffle, Sonic Spinball, Sonic 06, Sonic Adventure, as well as so many other Sonic games. That's not even counting the Game Gear games. But let's say it's all real to Sonic. After he beats the final game, you return him back to Green Hill Zone, the very, very start of Act 1 in Green Hill Zone. And all of a sudden, Dr. Robotnik is laying there dead. And he doesn't know what's going on. And then a 10-foot tall giant with no skin shows up. And Sonic's like, what the fuck is this? Or insert random, maybe it's a Loch Ness Monster. Maybe it's Chef from South Park. I don't know. Whatever ideas you have. Whatever you think would be the most... Maybe it's Buzz Lightyear from Toy Story. Okay, we're getting distracted. Main point being is this. Sonic is brought back to the very start of Act 1 in Green Hill Zone. Dr. Robotnik is dead. And someone else, in whichever way you deem appropriate, is a very scary person there, standing in front of Robotnik's dead body. He then explains to Sonic that he's back at the exact same spot he was when he started that first journey, when he first met Dr. Robotnik and went on through all these adventures. And while he wouldn't describe each of the adventures to Sonic as Sonic 1, Sonic 2, Sonic 3, he'd go, Sonic, you remember your adventures through this place, and those underground caverns, and that casino, the underground area full of water, those freeways with the exploding mines, and even when you went through Robotnik's secret base, and then when you later on encountered Tails. And when you later on encountered Knuckles. When you saved the Flickies. And go through and mention each of the worlds that he had gone through. And the people that he saved. And he's like, hey. One, your super magical dagger power to jump in enemies and kill them is gone. You're not very destructive anymore. And you have to play this very, very carefully if you want to progress. Also, there are no more Chaos Emeralds. Here they are, completely devoid of any power. You can never use the Chaos Emerald power again. Also, there are no rings anywhere. There are no power-up boxes. Also, here's the dead corpse of Tails and Knuckles. There will be salvation for you, Sonic. But you have to go through your entire journey again with no help. Also, you don't understand it at this point, but there were checkpoints. Checkpoints that if something went wrong, checkpoints that your short-term memory forgot, it's not that they were invisible, it's that they just sort of wrote themselves out of your memory. They made it easier for you to progress. Those won't exist anymore. At any point, should you fail in your journey, you'll come back here and start it all over again. Your only hope is to beat everything you did up until the last opponent you just defeated before you came here. If you do that, your friends and everything you ever had will be returned to you. And you'll be able to live in peace. And the world will be of one of comfort. Should you at any point decide this is too difficult, well, you can stay here in this 100 foot by 100 foot area at the start of this zone. There's food here. You can sleep. The sun's very gentle in the sky. And there are no enemies within this little area. And you can stay here. have a respite. However, for every 1 year that goes by in which you are in this area, it will shrink by 1 foot until eventually there is nothing left of it. Now, you're probably wondering what I mean by your failures and the checkpoints. It'll be faster just to restore what the checkpoints took from you than for you to remember, than for me to tell you. At that point, Sonic... Okay, that was a really long, drawn-out way to go. Main point being this. What if instead of remembering each individual death as they happen, what if Sonic went through all of his adventures and then was returned to the very start of Sonic 1, and then all of a sudden he was given all of the memories of every single death, every possible way he could have died in every single video game, sometimes 1,000 times for each one. And for him, these aren't just memories of, oh, that happened. It's like he actually remembers being there and feeling the pain and actually dying. If the memories of every single one of those deaths came back to him at the same time, and now he has to go out there and try to go through Green Hill Zone again, knowing what he knows, and knowing at any point if he dies, he goes back to the very start of it. So as he progresses in through the games, the risk, the amount of progress you could lose. I mean, imagine at any video game that's a hardcore difficulty game, the further you get in the game, but imagine you were playing like Dark Souls 9, and every time your character died, you lost all progress and went back to the very start of the game. It also randomly deleted the saves of one of your other video games. Or randomly deleted a manga in your actual physical bedroom out of reality. Okay, at that point we're just being silly. But you get what I mean. Like, what if you were playing a video game that, if you died in the game too many times, it's not that, oh, you lose progress. It's that, say you played Dark Souls 9, and it gives you 9,999 lives. But you have to beat the game in 1 life. Every life returns you to the start of the game. But you have 9,999 game. In fact, imagine this challenge with any Dark Souls game. Like, imagine the original Demon's Souls or Bloodborne. How about this? Imagine Bloodborne. And we're not even saying you have to beat any DLCs or hidden bosses or even the secret bosses like, the Moon Blessing and all that stuff. Moon Presence, Moon Nightmare, whatever. Let's say you just have to beat the normal end boss of the game. You don't have to do any extra content in any way. But let's say you're playing Bloodborne, and you've already beaten the game, so you know what's going to happen throughout the entire game. But you're given 9,999 lives to do it. But every time your character dies, you restart to the very start of the game. And you lose all progress and all items, which means you have to be careful not to die a single time. Now, if you die, okay, fine, you start over. But should you use all 9,999 lives, the video game Bloodborne deletes itself from your console and permanently blocks you from ever re-downloading it again. And you're just no longer allowed to play the game. I don't know. I feel like everything I said was very disorganized. But I feel the point behind what I was trying to say probably came across. But I'm just saying here, as far as with Battler, he actually remembers things, and I think his goal here is trying to stay alive so that he can, take care of the others, help the other people in the game, in the story. And if he knows that we're doing a reset after everything's completely done, well, there's two things to gain from him continuing. Because at this point, yes, Kyrie's dead, Rudolph's dead, Hideyoshi's dead, Ava's dead, Kraus is dead, Natsui's dead. That's awful. But one, should he get a win condition, he can resurrect everyone in this world. But two, even if the win condition becomes impossible, there's still a benefit for him to continue playing the game. I know this is kind of taking the opposite effect of what I was saying earlier, but imagine you were playing a video game, and almost like a roguelike, you know you're not going to win the run that you're currently playing, but you know every bit of an extra high score you get, every bit of an extra item or monetary thing you gain, or every time you kill a certain enemy, it's saved to the overall game scores. So even if you lose the run, you're gaining more so that you can win future runs. Think of it like the Binding of Isaac. You're doing things from run to run to run that in of themselves mean nothing during the course of that run, even in runs where you know it's ultimately going to be a failed run. But even then, you also know there are situations where you have to get a successful run, just unlock a harder difficulty so that you can struggle harder to get to where you were just to fight a new boss. So even a win condition means you've just unlocked a harder game. But the goal being to eventually get the full game and to have all these extra abilities. Or a roguelike where as you build up, you can unlock new items, or you could get permanent stat upgrades. Like, I'm trying to remember that one game. I did a Let's Play of it for at least a few parts, about like 5 years ago. I can't remember the name of it. Yeah, I don't remember. It's... One moment. I'm going to try to go on Google or something real quick. Actually, I'm just going to my channel. I remember there being a video I called Duck You Vector Man. Dead Cells. Dead Cells. 8 views. I'll click on my own video.
Well, welcome and good evening, wonderful dice of all lines. I am Lunar D8, and this is Let's Play Dead Cells.
1 like. I wonder if it'll be like 9 views now because I just clicked on it. I gave myself a view. But yeah, Dead Cells. Like, that's a good example. Basically what I'm saying is like this is like Dead Cells. Where from world to world with Beatrice, he's learning new things about the characters. And the characters are also gaining intuition. Like, I get the odd impression that Kenzo died in the first one by opening his own door to just look at the outside of the door. And Beatrice is like, yeah, I'm spawn camping you, bitch. And then, like, shot him with a crossbow. Is spawn camping okay in a game like in a visual novel? I don't know. Heck, imagine the thing I was saying about Sonic, about Master Chief. Like, imagine Master Chief goes through everything, and then, imagine Master Chief was going through all the Halo games on easy difficulty. And then after he beats the final Halo game, he goes back to the very start of the Halo 1. He now remembers every death he ever went through, and now it's on Legendary. Main point being is this. Every time Battler repeats this loop, the characters that don't maintain the memories are at least gaining intuition. They're learning things that they shouldn't know, but they're remembering. Again, same author did Hinamizawa, Hinamizawa, Higurashi, to where, for most of the series, Rika was remembering everything. And keep in mind, technically, Rika is in this game. Frederica Berncastel. The version of Rika that is the 100-year-plus witch who endured all the shit that happened. But the other characters like Rena and Kaiichi, as well as all the others to some degree, were remembering things. Heck, you even later on were seeing like Mion and Shion's grandmother was changing her personality because she was... There were lessons that she learned, thanks to Keiichi and the others, that taught her a bit more about compassion and regret that she had. That even though she didn't remember learning those lessons, the effects had on it. So, there are characters in this game that may have certain character flaws. That one, Battler is at least learning about the others, so he himself can strategize. But the others also might be able to just gradually improve upon themselves and just be better people, or be better at certain things, or avoid mistakes they made in previous worlds, even though they don't remember making those mistakes. So, Battler, one, can save, because whether there's 6 people dead or a few more in the bit, Battler can save everyone by solving the riddle or beating Beato. But even if victory against Beatrice becomes a complete impossibility, by continuing to play the game, you gain new skills and you learn about certain things to expect you otherwise wouldn't. For example, imagine, and this may be difficult for many of you, but imagine you're someone like me. Someone who is 38 years old. Someone who has played video games from the NES, the original Nintendo system. That's from 1987. Heck, I was born in 1987. And I'll tell you this. Imagine a video game that isn't just like we're taking away save systems from future games that were meant to have saves, like I was saying with Elden Ring and all that. But many of the games for the NES didn't even have passwords, they didn't have checkpoints, they didn't have continues. It was just, you played the game in one sitting. There were no save points. Granted, save points certainly make it a little more interesting. Heck, I love my mom very, very much. And I enjoyed playing Mario 1 and Mario 3 and Spyro 1 with her when I was younger. I don't think either of us were very good at it, but I just enjoyed playing the games with her. Just enjoyed spending time with her. Now that being said, those games didn't have a save system. You had to beat them in one go. You couldn't just, if you ran out of lives, you had to restart. Also, if you just had somewhere you had to be and you didn't have enough time and real life was calling, well, you just had to turn the console off and you had to come back to another time. But the skill you gained at playing the game, that remained. We're not even talking roguelikes where you're building stats and stuff that gets saved in the game anymore. We're talking just actually getting good. You know, that old internet meme, get good? Like if you play Halo, it's one thing to say, oh, you unlocked a new chapter, all that, but just even playing online multiplayer, you're not gaining stats for, like, you're not getting +2 to headshots when you play enough of the game, but you're getting better at it. You're getting more familiar with the map. You're improving your reflex speed. I mean, that's the whole idea with many of the Dark Souls games. Learning the enemy patterns, learning the boss patterns, learning how to react to the enemies. I want to be the guy. A lot of times there were many traps that you had no way of seeing. But eventually you'd know where everything was just by dying to it over and over. Trial by error. And then, of course, the games inspired by it that were actually made for an NES back in 2010 and 2012, Battle Kid 1, Fortress of Peril, Battle Kid 2, Mountain of Torment. But you gained skill at games. You got better at it. You learned what, like if you played Mega Man, you learned how to sort of cheese certain bosses, what weapons worked best on certain bosses. You knew their attack patterns ahead of time because you died to them 1,000 times already. You understood this floating block puzzle and how to do it. And so well, in fact, that you could probably play it in front of somebody else and be like, hey, you want to play this game? And you'll do it, and you'll do it on the very first try in front of them. And they're like, wow, you're really good? I'm like, no. Heck, it reminds me of a Jackie Chan interview that he did in a video once where he was like twirling this. He showed a video clip of him twirling a Chinese fan. And he looks, and he says to you, yo, you see that? You think Jackie Chan good? No, Jackie not good. That took 180 takes. And keep in mind, Jackie Chan's a fairly athletic individual, very naturally skilled, been doing it all his life, certainly was practicing at the Chinese fans millions of times before the day of that take happened. And yet, the day they did that recording, it took 180 tries for him just to get that thing that takes just a few seconds. And that's with someone with a lot of skill. Though, I would say the main lesson to go with that is this. If you're going to be good at something, you have to be really fucking bad at it first. And by that I mean, if you're going to play something on your guitar, if you're going to play a sport, now of course there's many people that are naturally good at those things, but of course that just means the more they work at that, they can be even better at them. But in general, what I would say is this. If you're, say, someone who likes to draw, I would say still keep your early drawings, even though you may find them cringe when you're better, but it's still good to remember where you stood at one point. Then again, even if you feel like you're not making an improvement, I mean, if you're drawing or stuff, it should be something you're doing just because you enjoy it. Otherwise, if you're doing it just to get better at it and don't enjoy it at all, then that's just a job. The most important thing in doing something you enjoy is to enjoy it. But the main thing I have to say to anyone is, if you want to be good at something, you have to be really bad at it, a lot. So if you try at something, you're going to probably fail over and over and over again. But don't get discouraged, keep trying. Now, I'll tell you this. I won't guarantee you that even after 1,000,000 tries you succeed. I won't even guarantee that even if you had unlimited billions and billions of tries, that you'll ever succeed. And you're like, that's not very encouraging, Lunar. I'm like, I know, but I'm not lying to you. There's no guarantee of success. There's no guarantee that you'll do well at something. Heck, there's no guarantee that even if you did well at something 1,000 times in a row, that if all of a sudden you're like, say you're playing a concert, you're playing guitar, even if you've gotten so good at a song where you feel you can play it 100 times in a row without any errors, it's still very likely you fuck it up when it matters the most. Yes, additional skill and hard work increases your probability of success, but your probability of failure is never zero. And it's not guaranteed your probability of success isn't zero. I mean, that's fucking harsh to say, but the main point is this. Your probability of failure is never zero, no matter how good you are at something. There is always the chance you will fail. And when it comes to a lot of things, that probability is a lot higher than zero. And no matter what you do, there's never a guarantee you succeed at anything. There's no guarantee. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't try. Of course, when it comes to things in real life, when it comes to certain things, you have to weigh the risks and the rewards. For example, say you have a concern about playing a guitar song well. Well, yeah, there's no guarantee you succeed. And it's very likely you fail at it quite a bit, but that's fine. There's no problem with that. Now, oppose that to say like skydiving. If you fail at skydiving, you might not get another chance. And if you do, you probably don't want that other chance because I'm pretty sure you broke every bone in your entire body. The main point is like, there are certain things. For some reason, that just makes me think of like parkour stuff. Like the parkour stuff in like Assassin's Creed, at least the older Assassin's Creed games, was awesome and a lot of fun. But most of those jumps that don't even do the character any damage at all would completely shatter your legs in real life. And honestly, in real life, most of that stuff would actually be very boring. I mean, you'd get bored of it pretty quick. Heck, it'd feel like a chore. It'd feel like it would feel boring. Like, imagine if you could actually do everything in Assassin's Creed. It'd be cool, it'd be fun, but then you'd probably get bored of it. Whereas, like, even though you can't do stuff, it's a lot of fun in the video game. Or the flying stuff. And that's another thing. It's like, might be still a little scary to do something that's in heights. In like a VR game or something, I guess. Maybe one day I'll get a VR headset or something. If I do, I'll at least try to do Beat Saber. But I don't know if my computer can handle that. Probably not. I'd still try anyway. Then again, I imagine if I ever got a VR headset, it'd be like, hey, it's Lunar here. I'm playing this other like horror game. Hear me make... Heck. I remember playing a game called Hololive Error. I got jump scared by an adorable VTuber character. I think her name's Corone, if I remember right. I can't remember. It's been forever. But it's just... I don't know. It's just... Obviously, if you're going to do something in real life, you have to weigh, 1, what are your actual chances of success? 2, what are the punishments or penalties of failure? And 3, even if you succeed, do you want that success? I mean, because there's things you could succeed at, and it turns out when you get what you want, it actually comes with a lot of negatives that you don't want. So, I guess the main thing I'm saying is, when it comes to things in real life, it definitely helps to just think things through quite a bit and just think about your chances of success, what you get if you win, what happens if you lose, and why you care. Like, why you would want to do certain things. Obviously, when it comes to a lot of the things I started this discussion on, like drawing or guitar, the point is, you're doing it because you enjoy it. It isn't supposed to be like, okay, you're going to draw and draw so you can, like, I don't know, make the new season of Rick and Morty or something. I don't know. Like you're trying to do it to impress somebody or make money. I mean, again, if you can do something, I mean, get paid for it, I guess. But I'm just saying, if you're doing something you enjoy, you should avoid doing something that would make you stop enjoying it. I mean, if you're going to do something with the idea of getting something out of it, well, then you shouldn't do something that makes you not get out of it whatever you wanted. So, I don't know. This is like the dumbest... I don't know. But the main point of Battler here is that even though, like the Mario game I was saying earlier, yeah, even if you don't have very many lives, or say again with Sonic, say you're at the final zone of the world and there's no save and you'd go back to the start of the game, well, one, there's still a chance you could beat the game, and even if you don't, well, you'll learn enemy placements and boss patterns just a little bit better. That's the whole concept of the whole Mega Man games, is you have to actually lose over and over and over again. Now, of course, some people might have a naturally better ability to beat a boss right away, and other people will learn the patterns faster. And of course, many people can just brute force their way through the game by just playing it over and over again. But no matter what, there's an improvement, even if they're not actually admitting that they're improving at the game. Because at the end of the day, if they actually beat the boss, no matter how much they just brute forced it and just kept throwing something at the wall until it stuck, at the end of the day, they still won. And that's something that the person who played it the very first time couldn't do. So, even if there's becomes a situation where Battler can't possibly win in this world, he knows eventually the world will reset. At which point, he'll carry what he learned in this one to the next one, and improve, until he has a psychotic mental breakdown. Because eventually he's probably going to have memories of, like, take Shannon, she's going to die eventually, but like, he's going to have memories of everyone dying in multiple different ways. And it's still going to hurt every single time. Like, he cried very much when Rudolph and Kyrie died the first time. And he will no doubt cry very vehemently this time, even if he's certain of an idea of trying to save them, or even save them in a future world. And as far as admitting Beatrice is a witch, the problem there is this. I've said it before. I think it's you have to have a healthy amount of faith and skepticism. You have to have a balance. One, you can't just believe everything. You have to have critical thinking, and you have to be able to analyze things. Think about things from different perspectives. Try to disprove things. After all, the only way you can trust anything is by doubting everything. The only way you can know anything is by questioning everything. No question should be off limits. No thought should be off limits. You should be able to think about anything. You should be able to ask any question. There should be nothing that you can't contemplate. And by that I mean the idea, like, there's certain religions saying, oh, you shouldn't think about certain things, in terms of you shouldn't ask certain questions, or you should just accept things as they are. You should always ask and question everything. Now, that being said, you should be able to have faith, too. You should be able to believe in something even if you don't have all the answers. You should be able to, after all, scientists do hypotheses. After all, many scientists make hypotheses not knowing the answer, but they make an educated guess by observations and reasoning it out. And then they test it. And with the additional information, they can then go from there and improve it. But the main point is this. Many scientists who did experiments, they didn't know the answer. They didn't know how. If they wanted to make something, they didn't know how to make it, so they just had to keep trying. And they made decisions based on what would actually work. I mean, it was largely, like, say, the start of a light bulb. Like, how do you make a filament? How do you make something that glows? Like, how do you channel electricity? How do you make it more efficient? And of course, depending on certain items, like, say, polonium, you need to be careful because, like, the person there was a woman, I can't remember her name, and she discovered polonium and discovered it was radioactive and discovered the energy and stuff that goes with that. It also killed her. And all of her clothes and belongings are under lock and key in a concrete bunker because there's so much radiation around even her corpse that if you were to go near it, because that's why it's locked up. The stuff is locked up because you can't read her notebook or else it will poison you. You will die. So obviously when it comes to testing certain things, safety. Safety is important, especially when it comes to things like radiation or explosives. Oppenheimer wasn't testing the bomb from 5 feet away. They kind of took some safety precautions. And even then, they weren't just doing random bullshit that made no sense. They used actual knowledge of science to try to make something new. I'm going to reference a random VTuber now, who I have never tried this myself, and it sounds gross and disgusting. But apparently there's someone out there that will microwave a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. In particular, apparently it was like an Uncrustable or whatever. And that sounds awful and disgusting. Why would you do that? But yeah, if you know what VTuber that is, let me know in the comments. I'll give you a hint that it's probably more apt than the sandwich thing. The person does cartwheels. I can't do a cartwheel. If I were to try to do a cartwheel, you would just hear the sound of me breaking my leg. You would hear a loud thud, and then you'd probably hear me cry. I'd probably cry. I'd probably be crying. And then I'd probably have to call to go to the hospital. But yeah. Then again, I don't have a great sense of balance. I can't ride a bicycle. I go to a bike trail a lot. I'll walk on the bike trail. I'll have my phone, but I won't be listening to music. It's just, it's good to have a phone in case something happens, you need to call for emergency services or something. You never know. But I either will just walk there and quiet and just listen to the wind, or I'll talk to myself. Heck, you guys know about a year and a half ago, I got a little too lost in thought. I was talking to myself about various things that were on my mind, and before I knew it, and don't get me wrong, I was aware of where I was walking. It was just, I was enjoying walking. It was nice. And I was looking at the stuff I was passing by, and I was looking at the trees, and I was enjoying each thing, and it was just I was smelling the roses, so to speak, and enjoying every step I took. But I got a little carried away. And of course, it was 100 plus degrees Fahrenheit, sunny, no clouds. I didn't wear sunblock. I'm super pale. And I did not bring water. And by the time I got back to my car, I had gone 23 miles. I was limping for 2 weeks. My neck is still discolored from how badly I was sunburnt. I also, pretty sure I had heat stroke and heat exhaustion, was severely dehydrated, and was probably very close, at least 100 times, to just passing out in the middle of the bike trail, to probably just, be eaten by wolves or something. I don't know. I imagine it'd probably be a bit scary. Either I would either just die, Or I'd wake up in the middle of the night, everything dark, can't see shit, with the sounds of wolves and coyotes in the distance. And probably still super exhausted because, I still wouldn't have water. Again, you probably should bring water with you on hikes and walks, especially when there's a fucking heat advisory on the news saying that people should avoid going outside. Okay, I'm getting off topic. Oh, that's an understatement. We have vaguely been talking about Battler in any way, let alone the fact that 99% has been like Sonic the Hedgehog or some shit. I mean, heck, we're doing like random VTuber trivia. And like we haven't been reading the story. Like I've been saying, I'm going to try to avoid being on tangents, guys, and I'm still sticking to that. I'm going to try really hard to not go on tangents. But there's going to be videos like this where I fail so fucking badly. But at least, like, most of the time, like, I think it was the video before this one or the one before that one where, like, George said something that I laughed a bit at because I tried to say it, like, in a, like, the way he was saying it there. And it's just, I couldn't keep a straight face and I laughed at it. Then I got it just derailed from there. But this is like, we barely made it like a couple minutes before I just went completely just... Like, I need a GPS to get back to the story. So, again, like, I will try, like, it's going to be a recurring thing. Like, definitely going to do my best to just stay on topic, to just read the story, and to try to not comment on things. Let alone go off into fucking tangents about random bullshit. But yeah, welcome to my channel. But yeah, main point is this. It's kind of like, Rika was remembering everything that happened from each loop, trying to improve upon things. And the others are subconsciously remembering things and improving things, and it may even actually have changes of personality or ideals that work more toward, rolling that 6. Now, of course, the additional ideas would be this. What if additional characters maintained their memories? Like, what if in the next episode, Kairi remembers everything from episodes 1 and 2, even the things she wasn't there for, even the things that happened after she was dead? How much would that improve things? Now, here's another question, though. The big difference here is that Beatrice is the one orchestrating this looping, so obviously the antagonist has the same advantage of remembering everything. I mean, if you look at it like a chess game, if Beatrice is a chess master and I'm a novice trying to beat her, yes, every time I play against her, there's always a chance I could beat her. And every time I play against her, I can improve my strategies and I can learn a bit about how she plays her pieces. But she can improve her strategies too. She remembers the previous games. She also can see how my skills are improving. She can learn me and learn how I've been improving. So the problem is, now granted, I still just have to get one win in order to win. Whereas even if she wins, well, we just play another game. So all I have to do is eventually get a win. But the problem is, it really undercuts my advantage. It'd be like in Higurashi, if Mio Takano remembered every loop. But in the same regard, if one of your allies remember, like Kairi, if she remembers all the loops, But in the same regard, what if, like, all of Rika's friends, even Tomataki, but, like, what if Keiichi and Mion and Shion and even their grandma actually remembered all the loops, even the stuff that happened years later? But the other question is this. How would this be going differently if Beatrice couldn't remember the loops? But what I was saying earlier about the faith and skepticism, it's important to have a sense of skepticism about things. You shouldn't just blindly believe and accept everything. You should have discernment. But at the same time, you have to be able to have faith, and you have to be able to believe in certain things. And you have to be able to always be willing to change your view on things, to adapt, to be open-minded. To be willing to accept things that don't fall into the worldview that you have. To be able to accept the existence of things that you can't explain. Now, just because you can't explain them doesn't mean it has to be that way. Simply put, you can accept that witches are real and magic of every kind exists. But you can also still accept that the majority of things that happen have nothing to do with magic or witches. And the majority of things that happen are scientifically explainable. But you have to be able to accept both things. You have to both be trying to analyze something for it not being magic, but also be fully accepting that magic can exist. Now that being said, though, when it comes to Battler, and I'm pretty sure he's already fully consciously aware of it, but after all, we discussed it in the very end of episode 1, and by that I mean Battler was literally discussing it with all the others, that Beatrice's power requires everyone's belief. And in this situation, it feels more like belief is submission. It's not that you're believing Beatrice is a witch. It's that you are submitting yourself as lesser than her. And let's be clear, to every degree, every honest, evaluation, yes, Battler doesn't have magical powers. He does not have magic. If I look at someone who can shoot thunderbolts and I can't shoot a thunderbolt, well, obviously, it's an issue that I can't shoot a thunderbolt. However, it's not an issue of acknowledging reality here. Because we understand that acknowledging that reality requires a sort of submission to the other person. And we know that our acknowledgement of even something that is real somehow gives our opponent something as a one-up over us. Meaning, as long as we always deny them and refuse to believe, well, then we still don't lose. So obviously I have some disagreements with the idea of not accepting Beatrice as a witch, because obviously, certainly, yes, there's probably some possibility that something's going on, and it could be something scientific, but again, that's more so keeping an open mind to the idea of her not being a witch. But by every logical probability, when you see what something happens, you're like, well, there's something supernatural going on here, and you accept that's like a thing. If anything, it's more of a leap of faith not to. But it's more so the issue that we understand that by just telling her that she's a witch and we accept it's magic, somehow it gives her some sort of additional power. Like telling a vampire they're, allowed in through your doorway. I mean, there's no reason why the vampire shouldn't be able to physically just go through the door. In fact, there's no reason why they shouldn't be able to just tear the door down. They're strong enough to do it. They don't even need weapons or anything to do it. They could just use their super strength. And heck, there's windows right there. Why do you need the door? But there's that rule in place for some reason. Then again, I always find the other thing that's kind of interesting, the idea of this. Though I did make a video talking about the idea of a difference between vampires, werewolves, and an idea of a third version being called illithids. Be like a human mutation, but a little bit of octopus thing. Though I kind of described it as basically a cat, a neko. Basically, you're a cat person, but you're like the non-furry version. You're like, what do you mean by not furry? Like, you're not like a beast-kin thing from like Skyrim. More so, you're just like, most VTubers. Human model, but you just happen to have like a big floofy tail and some ears. Like, oh, you just happen to have cat ears and a cat tail. The end. You still have your human ears, too. But then you have like some like octopus arms at your back, but they're like ethereal, so that you can still lay on your back perfectly fine. Like, think like the arms from like Elfen Lied, but you can like selectively make them visible, but they can also look like anything or take the shape of anything. And now I've made it a tentacle hentai, because now you're able to just make tentacle hentai a reality. I can't even keep my tangents on the same tangent. We're tangenting off of the other tangents, but somehow the tangent has gone to tentacle hentai. I don't know why. I don't know how. But main point being something about cat girls and cat boys. I don't know. Something about nekos. Now I'm just thinking about stuff with hentai. So that's just distracting me. Just imagining naked cat girls. And tentacle hentai. Now they're cat boys. Still tentacle hentai though. I forget what the fuck we're talking about. I don't remember what we're talking about, guys. Something to do with Battler or something? I don't know. He's time loop powers. Like, eventually he's going to have a mental breakdown, though, because you remember all the people dying over and over. And eventually, like, mental illness, like, it's going to be like, he's going to have too much, and eventually he's going on a killing spree and just start killing everyone. It's like, well, if Beatrice is going to kill her, I'll kill her myself. And all of a sudden, I'm just like Battler going around shooting everybody because he just broke down. I don't know. Imagine if all of the characters could remember everything. And again, what if it's an issue of all the characters don't remember it individually? Like Battler remembers it from each episode, but then all of a sudden, like later on after 1,000 episodes of loops, everybody remembers all at the same time. All of the stuff, even the stuff they weren't there for. But yeah, I try to remember. I feel like I need a diagram or a flow chart to remember what we're talking about. Yeah, I'm really confused. I can't remember. It's at this moment, if I had like an AI companion, they'd be like, Lunar, at this amount of time ago, you were talking about this subject. About to talk about this. Like, oh, right. Like, thank you. And everyone like, Lunar, why does your AI hologram have giant titties? I'm like, jiggle physics? It's like, Lunar, why does the woman hologram with the giant titties clearly have a cock? It's like, it's my choice how my AI companion looks. Why am I imagining a version like it's a virtual reality Five Nights at Freddy's game, but it's like just like you replace all the animatronics with femboys, just from various animes. Like, I'm trying to remember the original topic, and we just can't. I will say, it's looking at Battler's outfit, it looks pretty cool. I'd like to wear that. That looks really spiffy. I think everyone dresses really nice in this game. I don't remember what I was talking about. Anyway, Battler, best of luck in saving everyone. I'm trying really hard to, like, I feel like there was something I was going to talk about, and then I forgot. And I need to go to sleep. So we're just gonna save the game, as I have accomplished nothing. I'm reading the flavor text. I'm going to end the video, and I'm going to go to sleep. I feel like we failed to make any progress in the story. My bad. Later.